can't do it themselves. They need something from God. They need something from Jesus. That's how they come to him. And it's how we come to him when we are poor in spirit. When we say, God, I need you to show me what happiness is. True happiness is in this life. I make the mistakes about it all the time. I think it's this, and then I get it, and then that's not it. You show me what true happiness is. That's the beginning of our poor in spirit. Today we celebrate, one of the things we celebrate today is the Feast of All Saints. And that's the celebration not only of the official saints of our church, but of all the unofficial saints. All the people who have been an unofficial saint to us. The people that without them, none of us would be sitting here, or we wouldn't be as good a person as we are sitting here. We owe it to somebody else. Nobody gets here by themselves. We all have an unofficial saint in our life that have helped us be the person that we are and to be here today. And who are those unofficial saints? Today is the day we celebrate them, and we feel great gratitude, especially for them. Because I think that those people, if we remember them, and for some people it's a teacher in third grade, or it was a coach when they was a teenager, or it's their mother and their father, or it was their grandfather and their grandmother, or maybe it was even the wisdom of a child who spoke to them with an incredible wisdom that they didn't expect. It was somebody who was an unofficial saint to all of us. And that's the only reason we're here today as the people we are. And I will bet you that those people who are our unofficial saints are more like the people that Jesus talks about in the gospel. They're people who not only felt that they had something to give, but they felt like they had a lot to receive. They not only taught, but they also listened before they taught, because they had a poverty of spirit. They were people who, when they saw we were carrying a burden that we couldn't carry, they said, I'll carry that burden for a while. And then they didn't send a bill. They're people that when things are in chaos, they could come into the situation and bring calm and order to chaos. And we needed that at some point in our lives. People who've been saints to us have been like the people that Jesus talks about. They were peacemakers. They were the meek. Not the sort of milquetoast people that you walk all over, but the meek person who, no matter what life brings to them, they get back up again with some freshness of spirit and some humor, and they can still laugh. And they make the whole thing more human and more humane. And nothing gets them down permanently for long. They bounce back. Aren't those the people who were the unofficial saints of our lives? We also celebrate on this day All Souls Day, because we won't have a daily mass on Tuesday. And so we celebrate all of those, the memory of all of those that we loved, who have gone before us, who have died and gone before us to God. And we need to remember them, even though we may still be grieving their absence. We need to remember them with thanksgiving, with gratitude for all that they were to us in the time that we had with them. And I want to say what I think is the most important thing that the church says about death. I think it's the truest thing that we all need to remember when we lose a loved one. We're not afraid of death. We think we're afraid of death, and we're not. This is what we're afraid of. We're afraid of our love being cut short. Isn't that what we're really afraid of when it comes to death? If we're afraid that we won't see that loved one again, we won't be able to say, I love you to them again, then we're not afraid of death. We're afraid of the love we have being interrupted and cut short. If we're afraid that if we feel the ache and the sorrow on our heart that we'll never see those children or those grandchildren or their great-grandchildren grow up to be who they are, and there's an ache in our heart that we will miss them, then we're not afraid of death. We're afraid of our love being cut short too early. If we're afraid we'll never write that book, that's not the fear of death. That's the fear that our love that wants to get something done will be frustrated. And so we're not afraid of death. What we are afraid of is our love being cut short. It wants to do so much more. Our love will always want to do something more. And that's the truth about our love. Our love is always frustrated because it can never do everything it wants to do. And if we live to be 200 years old, our love would still be cut short because our love would always want to do more. It would always be frustrated. And so that is one of the great truths about our faith. It's what our faith teaches us about death. That there is this life and then there is another life. There is the next life. And one of the reasons there is a next life is because our love will be cut short in this life no matter what. And we need another life where our love will be brought to completion. Because it's in the next life that our love, all of our loves, our true loves are gathered up, brought to completion, healed, and made whole. So our love teaches us the reason we believe in another life is because we believe in love. We know that you'll never be able to say to him, I love you. When you say to him, take care. Let's say he's going out the door to go to work in the morning, and you say to him, take care. Do you know what you mean? What you mean is, if you knew what you meant to me, if you knew how much I care about you, you wouldn't take so many risks with how you live your life. You wouldn't take so many risks with how you drive. You wouldn't take so many risks with your health. You wouldn't take so many risks because I can't get through to you how much I care to you. Isn't that what you mean when you say, she's nodding her head? That's what you mean, isn't it? It's what we all mean when we say to somebody, take care. Take care. And so what our faith teaches us is that our love will always be cut short here on this life, no matter how many years we have. Our Christian ancestors looked at the life of Jesus and they realized that he had changed utterly our view of death. Death is not something that just cuts our love short here. Because God did something for Jesus. He didn't let his loves die. He didn't let anything he did out of love die, but he raised him up to life again. And what our early Christian ancestors said is that changes our view of death, because now we know that what God did for Jesus, he will do for us. And our loves will not be frustrated. They will be brought to completion and healed. And we will all gather together in a great feast in heaven. And all of our loved ones will be there. So as we come to this table, to this altar, what we do here is called Eucharist, which means Thanksgiving. And today we have two focuses of our Thanksgiving. The unofficial saints who have touched our lives, that God has sent into our lives. But also those loved ones and all the time that we had with them. And all the laughs and the joy and all of the things that we had with them in the time that we had. And so let's come to this altar with our hearts filled with gratitude for these great gifts. And we receive here holy food so that we can live a kind of life where we can be a saint for somebody else.